Hey everybody, Wausau Siete. So we're in the leather shop today, and I've got three exotic inlay rifle slings to build, and I'm probably not going to show all three, but we'll show the different aspect. They're all the same, just different colors of leather. But we're going to see what we can do with this, and I'm going to do my best to film this in this shop. Now this shop's really small, so it is tough to get a tripod in here. I mean, we've got a leather splitter, Cobra Class 4, Class 17, my tooling bench, my cutting bench, skiver, hot box, press. I mean, my dyeing station. It's tight in here. It's all the way around. The walls lined, ceiling is lined. I got shelves hanging down here that's full of leather, dozens and dozens and dozens of sides. But anyways, it's pretty cramped in here. I am working on a new leather shop, but it's all out of pocket. It's going to be 1,600 square feet. The pad's in, the framing's in, and for the most part. And we're about ready to start siding it. But anyways, it's all out of pocket, so it takes time to do that. And I've been down with my back, so I spent all day yesterday in a chair because I couldn't stand. Some of you that don't know, I had an L2, 3, and 4 fusion about 5 months ago, and for whatever reason it just doesn't seem to be healing the way it should be. So anyways, I have days where I can't stand, but I try and spend as much time sitting as possible, but it seems to be getting worse and not better. But that's enough of my problems. Let's build a rifle sling. So I'm going to zoom you in a little bit, or try to, or maybe I'll just leave it where it's at for right now, and we'll mark this out. I'll see it. I got a monitor here, so I'm looking at it to see how things are looking. Actually look okay in that monitor, so I'm not sure how that'll look on TV, but looks okay on the monitor. All right. Actually, I'm going to flip this around. I'm going to cut it from this side. I've already been cutting rifle slings out of this piece. And let's see what I do with it. So we got two pieces we're going to cut here. This is my pattern for rifle slings. I'm considering making this pattern available. This is my own design. Part of leather work where I see people go wrong is they get into leather work and they go, well, I'm going to build this exact same thing, and I'm going to build it for less. So it's a race to the bottom. And if you're just getting into leather work and you want to go into leather work business, just a word of advice. I've been doing this full time for 14 years, and a race to the bottom doesn't work for anyone in handmade goods. So best thing to do is design your own patterns when you can, and make your work stand out from everyone else's. Make it different. So it's no different than like a singer or something like that sings, and the ones that don't sound like everybody else, they have a long-lasting career and all that kind of stuff. And it's no different in leather work. If your stuff looks the same as everyone else's, then it just comes down to the lowest price. But if you're building higher quality stuff, it's all unique to you, it fits your style, something you came up with, then you're going to be better off in the long run to take the time to do that. So I've got 250 plus individual items and variations of items, and it's actually, that was the last count. I actually don't even know what it is now. It's much higher than that, but it's find my knife here. So building a product line that's unique to you, a style that's unique to you, is the best advice I can give you if you're getting started in the leather business. If you look just like everybody else and your stuff looks like everybody else's, then you just get lost in the mix. So those of you that's on like the Facebook pages and things like that, you know that there's people out there, when you see their work, you instantly recognize it. You don't have to see the name or anything else. You just know it's their work. And you want to be that guy. That's who you want to be. So hold on just a second. Okay, I just had to put a new blade in. Actually, I just had to flip this around here. Sorry for the little interruption there. I didn't have that ready, and I still don't have it ready. I guess I can't get the screw in the thing. What the heck is going on here? There we go. I cut everything in the shop with one of these razor knives. I've said before, I've made my living with one of these razor knives for my whole life in construction. And anyways, I still cut everything in the shop. I had a head knife when I first got started, though. I gotta have that, and I didn't. I sold it. I don't have it anymore. I just don't use a head knife. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a head knife or any of that stuff. I don't use one. I just cut everything with a razor knife. I will strop the blades when they get dull. But the second that stops working, I just grab another blade. When you're using a razor knife like this, don't buy the cheap blades. Buy Stanley, or I prefer Stanley, but Irwin is also another good brand. Buy the name brand blades. I've got a pack of Ace Hardware blades over there, and they are noticeably duller and not quite as good. But they were also half the price or less, which is why I gave them a shot, and they've been sitting over there ever since. So all we're doing is cutting this pattern out. This is going to be our lower section. This is our upper section. I'm going to grab a punch. Okay, you'll have to bear with me. If you follow my channel, you know I haven't done a whole lot of leatherworking videos, although that was supposed to be a big part of the channel, and it still is going to be. But just got a 1-inch round or oval type punch here, if you guys can see that, just like that. And we're just going to use that to make a round punch on there. And then the end of our lower strap, punch that there. So there's our parts for our gray one. Other than, okay, we're going to go ahead and cut the other parts too. So I have got, so on this, there has to be a keeper for this bottom part, and we're going to cut that now. What we're going to use for that is we're going to use this strap cutter, and this is a craft tool strap cutter. I actually prefer these better more than I've got one that's got the big blade sticking up. That thing is just, it just worries me. I got grandkids in this shop and everything else, and me, and that blade sticking up like that, just, it's not for me. So I just use one of these, and all you do is place that on the side and run that right on out. Now you got a strip, and this is going to be our piece, so this will fold over. You have your piece here. Let me zoom in just a little bit, see if I can get you a little bit closer here. That's better. For this part, you don't need to see my face anyways. No one wants to see that. So you would just fold this over like this. There is a length that you need for each one, but just get a temporary mark on there. And you're just going to make a belt keeper, and we'll go over that right here so that when this folds over, it can go back through like this. This one's still a little bit long, but all right, so we got our parts cut for that and that. Okay, let's clear this off, and I'm going to cut the last of the parts. And then after I cut the last of these parts, then I will I'll cut the parts for the other rifle slings off camera because they're all the same. So just a different color for the most part. Now for this one, this is my Calf Creek Buffalo, and it gets, these are all padded, so this is some foam padding here. This is I've used camping pads. This here is saddle seat pads. And I'm going to go ahead and mark out the other ones too while I'm marking this. I may need to break this video into multiple parts. I don't know yet. Depends on how long it is. I kind of prefer the long format videos because I can just turn it on, run it in the background. I pretty much watch YouTube all day long out here in the shop, or it's on in the back. I can't actually watch it, but I got it on in the background. And I mostly watch history kind of stuff. Flint knapping. I watch a lot of flint knapping. I just love flint knapping, so I would say it's kind of an addiction. I'd say it's more than an addiction. But, if you leather workers haven't checked out flint knapping, it might be something you might be interested in. It's just another artistic form. It was a necessity back in the Neolithic days, but today it's not, and it's pretty much just art, but it sure is fun. And I don't have any idea what it is that's so addicting about it, but it really is. And maybe more so for other people. I think it's probably, you know, you got humans have been breaking rocks for tools for, you know, over 2 million years. More or less. I think that's when the first Stone Age or stone tools are dated back to, somewhere around there. And I just think that all that time it just kind of built into our DNA. There's the only way I can explain why it has the effect on the mind that it has. It's kind of a trip. Just really is. You just have this drive to make more of it. I don't know if that's an artistic drive or still something left over from our gotta survive and make stone tools and all that kind of stuff days. I don't know. I don't know how it all works. All I know is it's a lot of fun and it's addicting, but we're not flint knapping today. We are making rifle slings. So this is just a piece of pig, suede pig. You can get this from any supplier. Any reputable suppliers can have pig lining leather. One sword or another. And like I was saying before, this is the backer that's going to go behind the padding. Like I was saying before, you want to come up with your own designs, you know, research and find your own leathers that makes, even if you're doing something the same as someone else, it's basically the same. You know, there's only so many ways to wrap leather around something, but you want to come up with your own patterns and your own total designs, which includes leather choice, all that kind of stuff. It needs to be unique from everyone else. And if you look at my website, I definitely have a signature look, and that was by design. So this Calf Creek is going to get this will be on the back, and we'll shape this, and this will be over the top of that. That's how that's going to go. We have all of our parts for that now, which consist of the main body of the sling, the lower section, the keeper, the pad, and the backer. So that's going to be all of our parts. I'm going to cut the rest of these, then we'll cut back in on the next part. Okay, so the next step on this is we're going to run it through a splitter because it's going to have an inlay, so this outer layer is going to be relatively thin. Right now it should be 8 to 9 ounce. I don't know what is happening with my... Not sure what's happening with my gauge here. It's not wanting to work quite right. Anyways, yeah, that's about 8.5 ounces. So see if you guys can see this. Put your gauge on there, and it'll take it to, you probably can't see those numbers, but it's a little over 8, almost 8.5. There's also other things that you can check it with. This is a little gauge right here, and it won't fit an 8 ounce. 8 ounce won't fit in there, but 9 ounces barely fits, but it's 9 ounce. 8.5 to 9 ounce. 9 ounce is a little thick. So these are good too, and they don't cost what this type costs. So anyways, this one came from EDC Leather. So if you want one of these, you can go to edcleather.com and get one there. George and the boys over there are pretty good. Pretty good eggs. Okay, so I'm going to split this first. I'm going to go with the splitter. I'll try and set up for a shot right there real quick, and see what we can do. Okay, so we're over here at the splitter. This is a Cobra splitter right here. It's a class 14 splitter. These are available from Leather Machine Company. And any professional shop cannot get by without a leather splitter like this. If you don't have one, you're going to be very limited in what you can do. So I got a little test piece here, and right now we're 8.5 to 9 ounce. And what we want to do is we want to split this down to about we want to be about 4 ounce or so. So I have an adjustment here. These numbers that are on this, which you can't see, do not represent the thickness of leather, because you can set this on where you're splitting down veg tan leather from 10 ounce down to say 5 ounce, and it's a harder temper than something like a bison or a buffalo, and they're going to split at different thicknesses. So you always want to run a test piece like this to make sure where it's at. I have a general idea where it needs to be on here. Sorry about that. My stand on one foot, my back didn't like that. Okay, we're in reverse, so let's go forward. And you do not want to get your fingers anywhere near this, anywhere, because it will suck your hand in there and destroy everything that goes in it. So right now that's a little bit thick. It's actually not that bad. It's about 5 ounce, about 5.5 ounce, and that'll work. And actually, see, that was a little test piece. But when we run the big piece through, which I've lost, hold on just a second. This is probably going to split just a hair thinner. I can't explain it, but it's a bigger, wider piece. So if I was splitting a piece that was 10 inches wide, it has more surface on there, it's going to split a little bit thicker than a piece if you're just running a 1-inch strip through it like we just did. I'm not sure why that is. That's just how it works. And you want to check the backside, make sure your piece isn't rolling back through it, because if it rolls back through it, then you're going to be splitting even thinner. Okay, so you can see that we are now split pretty thin, and this should be right at 5 ounce. Yep, 5 ounce, exactly what we wanted. And with this small piece, the small piece we just did, we ran through there. I don't even know where it's at now. It was more closer to 6 ounce because it was narrower. Because this is thicker, it's split a little bit thinner. I'm not exactly sure why, but that's just how it works. Anyways, we're split down. Let's go back over and cut it. All right, so we're back over here at the table, and we're going to do our cutout, mark our cutout for our inlay. Now this particular one is going to have a solid inlay in this whole section here. So these marks that you see on here are going to be punched out, and that's where our strap's going to run through. So we need to create the bottom here of our thing, and I just kind of even this up, get it centered a little bit, draw a light mark on there, and then on this I want, let's see, that looks about right. I don't measure these exactly, I just kind of eyeball it every time, but it's about 3/8 on the edge there. These marks aren't showing up on here real good on the camera, it don't look like, but I'll hold it up there so you guys can see it. Okay, so draw that in. So if you guys can see that, oops, there we go. You can see we got that all marked out there. Now we're just going to cut that out, and this center section is going to come out, and that's where our exotic inlay is going to be. So we will just, I like to punch these corners like this. I like to do it because it gives, I don't know how to get this in there, there we go. Gives you a nice round corner in there, you know, better than I can do with a knife, so that's why I like to punch those. That's not a very good line to follow. Just not marking real dark on this calf creek. Calf Creek is my own personal trade name for this leather. Alright, I brought those together and got a little bit off there. Alright, fix that up. Okay, so I'm going to save this piece right here. I got her cut out. Now we're going to get some rattlesnake. That piece might do. That will do it right there. That'll make it. Okay. This one does have some rattles on it. Not very many, but it's got some rattles on it. Looks like he broke off, but he wasn't a real old snake. Rattlesnakes have been very hard to come by here recently. A few years ago, we had that really cold snap that went through the south, and it lasted for a month or more, and all those snake dens down there in Texas, or a lot of them, at least reportedly, what I was told is they froze, and when they went to do the snake hunts, because they go back to the same dens every year, take so many snakes out of there, and they went back to their dens, and all the snakes were dead in the den, that they shallow den or something like that, and they just froze to death. So probably more than the cold. It was an extended period of cold, and those snakes down there are just not accustomed to that kind of cold for that period of time. Now this is a silver marking pen. It's actually a refill, and I buy these. I think I bought them off Amazon or something like that, but I buy them in a pack like this, and I'll go through a pack like this. I think there's 100 in here. I'll pretty much go through this in a year, marking patterns. So, anyways, we got this marked out, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut this. That's our bottom mark. I'm going to cut it below it a ways, ½ inch or so, and I can see my mark coming in. You can't, but yeah, right there. Well, everything's backwards in the camera for some reason. I hope that don't mess up the video. I'm going to cut along these lines right here, which is the outside edge of this. You got to leave all this meat on the side for gluing. And every exotic's going to have a little bit different procedure that has to happen here. Here, so everywhere this is going to glue along this outside edge here. I wonder if I can zoom in any more. Yeah, I can. Yeah. Hopefully you guys can see that. So you can see this line coming across right here. So we're going to remove the scales on the outside of this, and you can see on this, maybe you can. Maybe. You can see how that one side's all wore down. That's all wore down from taking off scales on rattlesnakes. I don't know exactly how many snakes you have to descale to wear that metal out like that, but it's been a lot. And rattlesnakes have gotten very expensive because of the shortage. So they doubled in price a couple years ago, and they doubled in price again this year, and I could hardly get any snakes at all. So if you're looking for snakes, they're hard to find, and don't ask me because I've only got a few, or enough to, I only even have enough to get me by, but just have to figure it out what I'm going to do here. But so I don't have any available for sale, any skins. All my skins come from a guy that buys snake hunts. So he makes a lot of, I'm kind of a secondary customer. I do buy a ton of snakes from him, thousands and thousands of dollars worth every year, but I'm just a little fish in the pond. He does a lot of stuff for boot companies, things like that. So yeah, see, I'm moving my left hand, and in the thing, my right hand's moving. So it's weird. It's kind of throwing me off when I'm trying to get things into focus. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some glue on this. And I hate gluing up on my cutting table. Something about this cutting table. This right here is a floor mat for like horse trailers and stuff. You can get these at Tractor Supply or whatever. You'll want the smooth top one. They do wear out eventually, but you can cut anywhere on this table. Makes a great cutting board. Once you get a lot of grooves wore in this, then on this one, because I always cut from this side, I just flip it around. But I get at least a year or more out of this, and maybe 2 years by the time I flip it around. I obviously been doing a lot of cutting right here, and I need to spread it out some. But anyways, once these grooves get wore deep, then your knife will try to travel in it, and you don't want that. But, okay, so we're gonna do some gluing. And I'll just set something up here temporarily so that we can do this without making a big mess on my cutting table. My glue's glued down. Imagine that. I need to clean this glue pot up. My edge is all goobered up and not sealing real tight. Like I said, I didn't work in the shop yesterday. I had to spend all day in a chair, so. We're just putting glue where the rattlesnake's got to go. That's it. And this is a contact cement. So you want to put this on. A lot of times I'll use 2 coats, just depending. I think you can get a good bond with 1 coat, but you get a sure enough incredible bond with 2 coats. Now this snake skin might not take 2 coats, just 1 on this, then 2 on this leather. A lot of times what I do, and that's sufficient. But gluing is a big part of your project and a big part of the quality in the project. So if a project is properly glued, it really doesn't even require stitching. It'll never come apart, and you'd have to absolutely destroy it to get it apart. So your gluing is important. It doesn't really matter the contact cement that's used. I use Weldwood, and I also use Masters. And this here is Masters, and I tend to use Masters because it dries faster. It's more expensive, but it dries faster. And I buy it by the gallon jug, and I usually buy 5 to 10 gallons at a time, and that lasts a varying amount of time. I don't know how many gallons I go through in a year, but it's quite a bit. And this is just a one-man shop, and so it's just me. I don't have any help. My construction days, we had times where we had close to 30 employees, and I love some of them guys for sure, but I just don't ever want employees again. So nothing against employees, I just don't want to deal with all the hassles that come along with it. Anyways, okay, so we're gonna let that dry for a little bit, and then we're gonna stick it down. I'll be back when this dries. Okay, so we're tacked up pretty good, so I'm gonna do with this. We got a rattlesnake here. It could tack up some more, but I'm in a hurry, so we're gonna, I mean, it's pretty tacky, but you could let it tack up a little bit more. So we're gonna use this piece to kind of get things centered because the sides are kind of floppy, and I just set it down on there like that, and then start working it down just like this, laying it on there, and it goes right back on there just how it's supposed to go. Pull this off. Now we know everything is lined up. And this is going to have a sealer over it, and I'm leaving the scales on it. It gives it a little bit of texture, but the sealer is going to seal it. You could leave it just like this if you wanted to, but okay, so now we're going to put the backer on it. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let's see here. See if I can zoom in so I can show you what's happening. So we got their piece stuck on there, and I've got, for this backer, I've got a piece of 4 ounce here, 4 ounce veg tan, and when these go together, they should be right about 9 ounces, 8 to 9 ounces, which is about where I like to be. And there's 9 ounces right there. So with the two together, and that's where we want to be. That was my, again, that's my trusty edcleather.com gauge. Let's see here. two of them in here. I thought there was one side, but it's actually two, so let me roll this up real quick. Alright. There goes another side off the table. I'm a little crowded up with everything here and trying to have a place to set the tripod and all that. So all we're going to do here is move my monitor. All we're going to do is lay this on there. Now you want to make sure, because it has almost all this one don't have any, they trimmed them all off, but usually where they clamp the hide, you want to make sure that's not on the back of your projects. You may have to come in a little bit. If there's one of those to show you, I would, but there's actually not even one of them on this hide at all. Okay. My trusty bullet pen my wife got me. Let's see here. That's a little too close, I guess. You guys need to be able to see it. Alright, hold on, my granddaughter's here. Okay, sorry about that. My grandkids are over there inside, but they're Gigi painting rocks. So they're really into rocks, which is kind of our fault. But I just laid this on there, then I marked around it. And now we have our marks where it needs to be. We're going to flip this over and put some glue on it. Now normally I would be gluing all these up at the same time. I usually try to do at least 3 or 6, something like that at a time. I don't always have that many to do, but that's how I prefer to do them. My website's set up so that it takes a couple weeks once you order these to get them. Sometimes a little bit longer, up to 3 weeks, I guess. I used to have them out in just lickety split, but I've really been struggling with my health issues lately, so I don't want to bog the video down with that nonsense. But anyways, I get them out as fast as I can, but it's faster to build 4. I think is a perfect number to build all together, but up to 6. I don't like doing more than 6 at one time, and a lot of that is because of the restrictions I have in the leather shop as far as room and places for things to dry and all that kind of stuff. So that's that. We're going to let that dry and then we'll come back. Okay, so while we were on break there, I cleaned the top of my glue clot off. Not that that's important to this video, but now I can get that on and off. It sets on there much better. And I put a second coat on this project. And I thought while that was drying, I'd come over here and I'd show you how I shaped this. Now it doesn't matter what kind of foam you use, whatever kind of foam you get. Those camp pads from Walmart work fine too. You can use those. I just been using this saddle seat pad for a long time, so it is much more expensive by the square foot than it is camp foam pad generally. But anyways, I'm going to show you how to shape this, because we have our piece here. It essentially has more or less square edges, and we don't want that. We want when our piece goes over, we want it to blend. So this is going to be loud. If you got headphones on, you might want to turn the volume down, because there's going to be vacuum cleaner running and this. So if you got headphones on, turn it down. Here it goes. Time to replace my belt. Not that much how much pipe you get. So we're holding this piece coming out of 45. We're putting this little angle on it. You can see that. Okay, so now we got our table all the way around it. Now we're going to do a blade. We're just going to run it real light along the edge just to blend that edge in. Okay, so now if it has some uneven areas in it, it's actually okay, because when this goes over the top of it, I mean, that's pretty smooth and that's fine, but when this goes over top of it, you're not going to see any of that. If you had big abrupt sharp edges, you're definitely going to see it through the backer, but that's what we're trying to accomplish there. It's basically just a dome. You're just trying to shape a dome on your belt sander. So I'll move you back over there. Our glue's dry. All right, we're back, and let's glue down our project here. I got 2 coats on this thing now, and we're just going to stick it down. That's all we're going to do. Just kind of line it up with your marks, keep it pulled straight, and then wipe it down. Now this is rattlesnake. Sometimes I got whatever, you can put cowhide in them, or whatever, buffalo, whatever inlay, a different type, or whatever inlay you're doing. Alligator, crocodiles, whatever that is. Clean up a little bit of that glue that's along the edge there. Okay, we're stuck down pretty good. You want to make sure that snake skin is good and good contact. All right, now we're going to cut it out. Not with that knife, we're not going to though. That one needs a blade changed. This is the one we just changed. Now once I get this cut out, I like to go over, flip it over, lay it on my tooling bench, and I smack it with a smooth face cobbler's hammer, especially along the edges, just to make sure everything is smushed down real good. Let's see, what can I do here? I'll bring a piece of granite over here that we can smack it down here on film. Hold on. And there it is. All right. I've seen people on videos do that snap thing and all of a sudden something appears. I don't know how they do it, but that's what that little snap is all about. Get that little bit of glue off. We're just gonna, this is a smooth-faced cobbler's hammer. All that's doing is ensuring that this edge is in as tight a contact with each other as it can be. Just extra reassurance. So that's it. Now we're going to go on to the next stage. Alright, we're going to go on to the next stage. Okay, so normally this might have a little bit more opportunity to set up and dry some more. It's not going to have that opportunity in this video. We're going to come back here to sanding. If you've got headphones in, it's going to be loud again. It's going to be the same deal. We're going to run it over this. And all we're doing is we're truing up the edge here. You can see that. We're just going to, it's already pretty smooth. We're just going to completely slick that out, smooth it out. First on the belt sander, and then we're going to come to this sander here and do the final sanding. And then we'll bevel the edge. And once we do that, then we're going to put some dye, because a portion of this is going to show. This backside is going to show, and this right here is going to show. So we need to dye this portion. So I'm going to turn this on. It's going to be loud again, so if you got headphones, turn them off. All right, here we go. Okay, like I've said in many other videos, sanding is the biggest secret to edge work. It's not a magical solution or anything else that you can buy. It's a good old-fashioned handwork. Good sanding, the material that you're working with plays a role in how slick the edge you get. But the method that I'm going to show you here, the different stages of it, you can get an edge, depending on the leather, just as slick could be. Even with two pieces of leather together, this will be noticeable on this because it actually has three. So you got the rattlesnake, you got the veg tan, and you got the other, and they're all different consistency. So you will see some of that in the edge, but it's not anything. Your edges are going to change depending on the project you're doing and the leather that you're using. But this method that I'm going to show you is you can use on any project and get a good, clean, nice edge. So anyways, we're sanded, and we're going to go over and bevel the edge, and then we're going to put some dye on it, and then we'll do the final edge finishing after that. So I'm going to move you again. Okay folks, so we had a little bit of a mishap. So what happened is right after I got done sanding back here, I went to hit the pause button and I didn't. So it recorded that whole time that I hit the record button, and that actually paused it. and I lost a big chunk, and I didn't realize it till last night when me and my wife were reviewing the video. So I'm going to make up for that little piece there. So there's a couple things that won't be exactly how I wanted them to be, but it'll be all right. We've got a couple more slings here, the other two that I was working on right here, and the other one was a Calf Creek. This is a Crazy Horse type leather. This is a black. Anyway, so we were going to come over here and we were going to bevel the edges and dye the backs. And we're still going to do most of that. Okay. So when I'm beveling edges, so we're just going to pretend that I'm beveling this. And when I'm beveling this, let me zoom in a little bit. I would bevel all the way around this outside edge, front and back. And when I do that, I use these Berry King bevelers. If you're going to spend some money on a beveler, spend some money on tools, spend a little bit of money on a beveler. Mostly I use size 2 and 3, and I really only use these two different types here, which are, let's see if I can show you that, which are a closed radius type beveler like that right there. I think you can see that. And then your standard like this here. Some of the other brands just aren't that, they're just not as good, I guess. It's important to have good bevelers. So we're just going to pretend this strip right here is this, and all you're going to do is just run down it just like that. Doesn't matter which one you use. I use different ones for different situations, but they're pretty universal. And that's it. You're just taking that off there. If you can see that, hopefully. Let's see here. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit more here. So yeah, you can see how that's rounded now. That's all you're doing is just taking that off and make that a little bit rounded. Okay, now we'll just leave it zoomed in right there. The next thing, I don't want to just put my dye on this, or I don't want to slick these edges, because if I slick these edges, I'm going to get stuff on here and my dye is not going to penetrate. It's going to act as a blocker. So my next step on these rifle slings after beveling would be to dye the back. When I'm dyeing the back, I'm just using a Phoebe's dye, like this. I got the smaller jugs, but this is these are gallon jugs. It's how I buy it, but I have these smaller jugs that I fill up to work out of. But anyway, it's just Phoebe's dye. It's applied with a dauber. Dauber a little bigger than this, and whatever colors corresponding with the sling or whatever it is I'm doing. And this section, of course, if you remember, is going to have our backer on it, so we don't need to dye that. But we dyed this brown, this black, and then we dyed the edge black, and then we're going to finish our edge. So we won't be showing the dyeing portion, but on black it usually takes a couple coats to get good coverage, and I'll show you the next step. So the only thing we really missed is just the dyeing part, I guess. I apologize for that. It just things happen. And I gotta find my rag here. Hold on. Okay, so I got a piece of canvas here, and it's just a piece of canvas. It's not too rough, not too it's not a super rough piece of canvas, but it's just a piece of canvas. Leather suppliers will have this, and when this dye dries, it outgasses, and when it outgasses, it leaves a film on the top, which you can see that coming off of it. and it doesn't look very attractive. So after your dyeing's done, and that'll outgas for probably at least 24 hours, but I'm just going to rub that out, which is the same as what I did on our other one. I'm not going to show you the other one right now because I have to patch this piece in, and because the other one's finished. So we buffed out our stain. Now it's time for our edges, because our next step after this is putting the backer on. So we need to finish our edges. This is just plain water. There's nothing special about this water. There's no super top secret slicking agents in it. There's none of that. It's just water. And this edge will work no matter what you're doing. And some of this might be repeated. I apologize if it was. I got two different parts of the video going here, and it's always difficult to when you have to make up a piece like this or whatever. You guys, if you're new to the channel, you're going to notice that my video is all raw for the most part. I don't do a bunch of editing. The most editing I do is splicing some pieces together. So these are burnishers here, and I got two different ones. A friend of mine used to work with my wife. He made me this one. This is my favorite. It's fantastic. I love it. And all you're going to do, zoom in a little bit here. All you're doing is just rubbing this edge, putting some elbow grease in it. Yep, looking pretty slick there. So this last part that was missing, part 2 starts up with I think sewing. I'll have to check I have to double check the video to make sure, but I'm going to try and get all the parts and pieces. It's just going to be on a different sling. And then I like to take this one and rub these edges down like this. You guys probably aren't going to be able to see what that does, but it really makes a difference. I didn't get to build these two slings together along with that other one because of the filming aspect of it, which definitely slowed things down, but I'm going to build these two together. So okay, once you get that part done, then it's time for the magic part. Now that's already pretty slick, just with water and some elbow grease, but that's where the magic comes in. And all this is a glycerin saddle soap, bar soap. I prefer this one. And I just rub that on there. I finished pretty much all my edges just like this. No difference. Some edges will come out a little bit slicker depending on the leather. Is a big part of it, but your sanding, like I said before, is one of the biggest parts of having a super slick edge. If your sanding's not good, you just, no matter how much slicking you do, it's just never going to be never going to be as good as it could be. And that is creating a very slick edge. You'll probably see that shining. So, very slick. And considering we have 3 pieces of leather coming together here, the rattlesnake, the buffalo, and the veg, that's a pretty good accomplishment, in my opinion. People tend to make a big deal out of edges, and they just really aren't that big a deal. All right. There's that. Oh, just a second. Okay, after you do that, you want to take a rag like this. This is just a old junky rag that I use this for this, and it just takes the excess off. Some people would buff this real hard with a rag, and that helps just a little bit more, but see if I can zoom in and show you guys this edge. It's probably not going to be super clear zoomed in that much, but figure out how to get in the, hopefully you guys can see that edge there, how clean that is. Anyways, I am going to do this, and the other thing is you want to keep your bar of glycerin soap covered up, airtight container, especially if you're not going to use it a lot, because if they sit around an open container for a long time, they'll start looking like this. Which, of course, I'm zoomed out too much again. They get dry, and once they're dry like this, the glycerin evaporates out of them. They're junk. They're no good after that. I don't even know why I got that thing in there, but it is. Okay, I'm going to pause you here, and I'm going to do this same thing I just did to this one, and then we'll come back and we'll put the backer on, and then we'll be caught up to where we need to be, where part 2 takes over. So I'll be right back. Okay, and also we're going to do our belt keeper the same way, so we're going to do the edges the same on this. Just wanted to show you that. Also, our bottom strap will be the same. We're not dyeing the back of it, you're just finishing the edge. I forgot to do those right now, but that doesn't matter. It's the same as what I just showed on doing these edges here, exactly the same. So, all right, we're gonna flip these over, and I already actually started pre-gluing some of this. Start getting some glue sitting up on there. Now, our stitch line is going to run around this outside edge of this. So we want our foam inside that mark. So just put a little fingernail mark at the bottom of this on the back side, same at the top, because we want to make sure we're in between those marks. So we're not trying to sew through our foam, because that won't look good. And then we're just going to put a mark on here so we got a general idea of where to stick our foam. And it don't have to be perfect. It's just giving us an idea where our glue needs to be, and where our foam needs stuck down. All right, that's it. We got our pieces here, got our glue pot, and we're just going to glue this up. It's the first time I've got into the glue this morning. I was looking at the video and on number 2, and it looked like that glue was pretty clogged up there, but I was out of the shop for a little bit, and this glue got a little thicker than it needed to be, or it should have been, because it wasn't seating right on the thing. So this glue is a little thicker than it should be. That's why it's not going on quite as thin as it normally would. But when it dries, it just all kind of sucks down. So I noticed that like these looks like thick spots here, and that is a little bit thicker. But I just cleaned the top of this thing yesterday, but it's pretty much a daily thing. Once I get this glue on, then I'll clean this top back off, because I'm sticking to it so bad. I guess I need to take this thing and really clean it good. Cut a bunch of that glue off there. So we got that on there. I've already glued these once, so I'm not going to glue those again right now, but I'm going to cut out and then we'll cut back in. Okay, so let's stick the backs on here. We got our pieces. We got our foam. It could dry a little bit more, but we're just going to put it inside our lines and then smash it down real good. Same thing on this one. Inside our lines. Smash it down real good. Next step is going to be to apply the suede pigskin backer that we cut earlier. And this is going to be repeated the same thing. Just going to glue these up. I'll make sure you get glue all around down the side of your form. Your padding. Make sure you get that covered good. I cleaned my glue pot again and added some fresh glue, so she's spreading a little bit better. I already put a coat on the suede, so we won't do that right now. Then when this tacks up, I will come back and we'll stick it down, and then it'll be time to go to the sewing machine. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, so we're back for our final step before we go to part 2. And we got our suede pigskin, and it's cut a little bit large, and we're just going to lay this down on here just like that. And you want to spread it evenly and then kind of fold it together off the end so you don't have any wrinkles. You don't want no wrinkles in your stuff. Once we got it on there, then we're just going to take our leather shears. If you don't have a pair of these good leather shears, you should get you a pair. Pretty sure these came from well, my wife told me I shouldn't be mentioning all these places in case there's a problem, but just about any leather supplier is going to have these good shears. So I tend to say just exactly how I feel about certain things or certain businesses that I do business with or don't do business with for some reason or another. But anyways. So that's putting this back on, and that's all there is to that. Trim this back a little ways, and that's going to get trimmed up. This and this will get trimmed up more after the sewing, so you don't want to cut that too short because you want your sewing hit that. But you all can see, I hope. Let's see, let's zoom in. It doesn't get very good lighting when it gets zoomed in too far, but you can see that's nice and smooth transition over that. Over this hump here. Very nice feel to it, that suede, and looks very good. We're going to do the same to this other one, but that's going to conclude part one. I'm going to put this piece of video on the end of where I ended after the sanding, and then upload those, and you guys will be able to see this video. So that's it for part one. If you haven't hit the like, subscribe button, please do that now. It really helps the channel, and you know, every like and every sub really just helps things move along, and try my best to get to 1,000. I'm starting to wonder if we're going to make it. No, we will. I know we will. But really though, hit that like and subscribe button if you would. If you get anything out of this, just please hit those buttons. It really does help. So appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see you in part two. Keep tooling.